My name is Thea, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about some of the books that I recently read. So I'm going to talk to you about these 4 books. As per usual, there will be timestamps, and I am in this location again, as you can see, hopefully. I mentioned that before, this is not where I usually am, but it's where I am at the moment. This is my parents' house, anyway. So the first book is Ship of Magic by Hobb. This is book 1 in the Liveship Traders trilogy, which is part of the Realm of the Elderlings, and this was the next trilogy to read after I read the Farseer trilogy, which I read last year and loved it. I'll try to leave links to videos which will talk about those books. So yeah, this is the first book in the new trilogy. This is about a different set of characters, but set in like the same overall world. Here is the synopsis on the back. Don't know if you can see that. This book basically has to do with ships, as per the title and cover. So we follow a couple of main characters, and basically in this trilogy you have what's called live ships. These live ships are made from a special type of wood, wizard wood, and once 3 family members of a successive generation of family have died upon the ship's deck, the ship will be what's called quicken, and the ship will quicken, and then it kind of comes alive. And so we have the live ship Verloren, and she is about to undergo this quickening. So we have from Vestreet. He is quite ill and he's about to die. Thea is his daughter. She is one of the main characters that we follow in this book. She loves the ship, and there is like a special type of bond between the ship and Thea and the ship and family members. But her brother-in-law, so the husband of her sister, he is one of the villains in this book. His name is Carl, I think, Carl Hagen, and like he kind of basically takes over the ship. Then we have Winthrop, who is the son of Thea's sister. He is trained to be a priest, but since like Carl wants to take over the ship, so he is not like genetically related. He's an awful person, and so he forces Winthrop to come out of his priest training to then be the family member of the ship, because the ship needs to have a like blood related member of the family on it. I'm sorry, this synopsis sounds a bit, but so I'm not the best at explaining what books are about, to be honest. So if this sounds confusing at all to you, but you are interested, maybe look it up or read the back or something like that, because I'm not doing a great job. Then we have the pirate Kenneth, who is like another kind of villain in the story, but also a person that we follow. And he wants a live ship of his own. But so these live ships are only for like the Bingtown trader families. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not making this sound very easy to understand, I feel, but sorry about that. So the first trilogy, the Farseer trilogy, was written in first person past tense. This trilogy is written in third person past tense. And I've understood that this trilogy is kind of different in that from the other, I think, is there 4 trilogies and 1 quadru... I can never remember how to pronounce the word for a series of 4 books. Yeah. I'm sorry, I can never remember how to say it or how to spell it, but anyway. I really enjoyed this book. I was getting, because this is a long book. It has 880 pages in my like mass market paperback edition, and I feel like the colors are really getting, it's a bit bright here, so like the colors are looking a bit like bright, but it is, to me, it looks kind of goldish. Here is like what the, yeah. Anyway, so this book is quite long, 880 pages, and for me, I tend to like get author burnout if I read like too many books by the same author in a row, like, because the writing style just, that's a me thing. It's connected to me being a mood reader, and so towards the end of this book, I was really ready for it to end, and because I felt the need to read a different kind of writing style. Now that's not a fault of the author at all, because I was really enjoying it for the most part. It's just me and how I work as a mood reader, because obviously with it being this big, it took me a while to read this book, and I wasn't reading anything else at the time. And so I think that's a lesson for going into books 2 and 3, that what I maybe should do is like read something else alongside it that has a different kind of writing style, different kind of genre, maybe a different language, because I also read in Dutch. So after I finished this, I really wanted to read some Dutch books, hence I read some Dutch books after that. So maybe what I'll do for books 2 and 3 is to read other books alongside it, or maybe just read a bit in it, and if I start to feel a bit burned out, then put it down for a bit and read something else or something like that, because I feel like that part of me being a book reader spoiled a bit how I felt about this book, like towards the end, because I was really kind of ready for it to be over. And the thing is, with it being book 1 in a trilogy, it didn't really like have an ending as much as I usually need closure at the ending of a book, which makes sense because it's book 1 in a trilogy. So it's not like it ended on a huge cliffhanger, which I hate when books do that, but it didn't have as much of that like sort of closure that I would have liked, because now I finished this, but with me being a mood reader and being close to like author or series burnout, I don't want to start book 2 yet. I don't feel ready for that yet. I need some other stuff first. So in the meantime, I won't know what's going to happen after this, but I don't want to read it yet. If that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't know. If you're not a mood reader, yeah, maybe that's a bit hard to understand. I'm sorry that it's just me, because for the most part I was really enjoying this, and it's not to do with like what happened and stuff, because like that, yeah, so that bit was just me. But it's a lesson for next time, because this is a long book, and I have checked book 2 is even slightly longer than this, and I don't know about book 3 because I don't want to spoil myself, so I haven't checked that yet. But anyway, so overall I enjoyed this, but I couldn't give it like 5 stars because of my author burnout problems, which I'm sure have more to do with me than the book, but because of that I couldn't fully enjoy like the last part of it. So I think I'm gonna give this 9 out of 10 in my rating system, or 4.5 stars. But yeah, oh, so this is fantasy. I don't know, did I say that? I can't remember now if I did or not. I don't think I used the word fantasy, but it might have been like deducted from me saying realm of Delving, because I don't know. Here's a map in it, and yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the next book. And like I said, I really felt in the mood for some Dutch books after that. So with my mood reading, I not only need to switch up the writing styles between third person and first person and past tense and present tense, but I also need to switch up the language that I read in. So I read in English and in Dutch, although I think if I'm reading my own books, I read more English than Dutch. But when I go to the library, I tend to mostly get Dutch books because that's what they mostly have anyway. So I read The Verloren Schat by Thea Beckman. This is a book from my childhood. I'm not sure when because this is an old library copy, so I'm not sure when I bought this, or maybe my parents gifted it to me. I don't know maybe I picked this up at a later time. I'm not sure if I read this as a kid or not. Possibly. I'm not sure at this point. So Thea Beckman mostly writes historical fiction, and I have read as a kid a lot of her works. I don't know for sure if I've read all of them, but I've read a lot of them, and I read a lot of them from the library. I owned only a few, and it wasn't until I was older that I was able to buy more of them for myself. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know if I read this before from the library. This isn't, so most of what she writes is historical fiction. This isn't quite like that, in the sense that at the time this was written, this wasn't that historical, if that makes sense. So this book was published in the early 1990s, and I'll get to that, why that's important. And it's not specifically said that it's historical or what exactly it takes place, but based on something that I'll mention in a moment, it can't have been that historical. So anyway, this book is about a girl named Mickey. It's Easter holidays. She is kind of bored. She lives in a small town where there's not much to do. And then she meets this guy called Arnold. He's of similar age. So she meets him. He is living with his grandmother at the moment. We'll again get to that, but that's important moment. And so Mickey sees a strange advertisement in the newspaper, where struggling for a word for translation here, two people, that's obviously not the translation I wanted, but using the word professors is wrong in this context. That's not the correct translation, but two men in this newspaper advertisement ask for any information regarding the lost treasure, because that's what the title means, the verloren schat, the lost treasure, of an old family. It's not royal family, but it's from, I don't think royal is, because that made you think of the king, queen. That's not what it is, but a nobility. Okay, yes, that's what I mean. So from an old noble family, would that then be the correct way to say that? No, I'm not sure. I hope you understand what I mean. Sorry, this is not a word that I use a lot in either language, but yeah. So since Mickey is bored, she decides to ask Arnold to help her help these two people who put an ad in the newspaper find the lost treasure of this old royal family. No, not royal. Of this old noble family. So this family has a one remaining person. And again, I don't know how to translate his title. I'm sure there is a translation. But this person is actually poor because his forefathers like to just spend all the money. So he is actually poor, but he is a descendant of this family. I liked this book, but I didn't love it. And the reason for that is that there was one line in this book. Okay, so Arnold, the side character, he temporarily lives with his grandmother because his parents are helping doing construction in South Africa. And so this character says to our main character, tells her that this is why he's living with the grandmother, and then he says, so I should say this takes place in the time of the apartheid in South Africa. So basically his parents, and based on all that I am inferring that his parents are white, that he's white, and that Mickey is white, and that I'm pretty sure all the characters in this book are white. So his parents are going to do construction in South Africa, and this is during the apartheid time. Now I looked up when that was, and so this book was published in the early 1990s, which will have just been on the tail end of it. And so, I'm sorry, I seem to have struggled expressing myself today. So this character says to our main character, as he is explaining that his parents don't want to do that, or do you, and he says, and I'm translating now, or do you oppose apartheid? And I'm like, and I'm sorry, I'm very bad at doing facial expressions on command. So I wanted to go for a certain facial expression there. I'm sure it's probably not worked out, but like, so I looked up, I thought I better make sure I get this right, because that line seemed so, why wouldn't you oppose apartheid? Like, racism is wrong. So I had to look it up to make sure that apartheid indeed meant what I thought it meant, because that line was just, and I'm sorry I'm not able to express myself as well as I, like after reading that line I was going on a whole rant in my head. And now a bit later in the book that does get challenged a little bit, and it doesn't have much of a bearing of the story or anything at all, but I just feel like that was a very like weird line to put in there, especially if you think that this was published at like the tail end of it. And so I didn't like that line. But I tried to look up more about the author, but it says that she didn't that she said, she passed away years ago, that she didn't subscribe to specific ideologies or religion or anything, so I wasn't able to find anything regarding like what the author's opinion would have been, if that makes sense. So maybe it was just that character, but or maybe it was just to kind of show the time that this takes place in, I don't know. But given the fact that it didn't really have a bearing of like the whole thing, seeking the treasure and all of that, like it seemed a really weird line to put in there. I hope I explained that alright. If not, feel free to ask me in the comments. But yeah, we don't need racism, well, ever. But yeah, that line was just weird, and again I hope I explained it alright. Other than that, this was an enjoyable story, like not amazing, but like, nice. It's only a short book, 111 pages, so yeah. I don't think I would have picked up on that line maybe as much as a kid. I don't know if when I would have been of an age that I was reading this, because I'm not sure if I was taught about apartheid on primary school or high school. I know I'm pretty sure we talked about it in high school, but I'm not sure about primary school. So I don't know if I would have known much about it when I was young. Although it says here that it's actually a C book. To me it read more as for younger children, like a B, like so middle grade from 8 to 12, rather than C means 12 to 15, I think. The characters, it does say they're 13, but it just, yeah, anyway. We're moving on to the next book. The next book is another Dutch book. This one is Kill by Mel Wallis de Vries. Although it's interesting that that word, add an extra L and you get the word kill, K-I-L-L. That's not what this word means, but it's interesting because this is a young adult thriller. It's very short, so this is like a novella, I would say. It actually has 67 pages, and the rest of it is an excerpt for another of the author's books, which is Vals, which I've actually read, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that in a video, so I'll leave a link in the description. Here's a synopsis on the back. So this was really like a novella, young adult thriller. We follow two perspectives. The book is about a young girl. Yeah, because the book is so short, I really don't want to give too much away. So basically, one of the perspectives we follow is from the girl, and the other perspective that we follow is from somebody in the police. I'm just gonna leave that up. And I liked that for the police chapters, and I think I can show that. There they put this at the bottom of the chapters, and for the chapters from the girls' point of view, they don't have that. So that's an extra thing to distinguish that. I don't know if this exists in ebook, how it works there. But yeah, this was actually better than I was expecting because, like I said, I read Vals, and if I'm not mistaken, I wasn't a huge fan of that. So I like this better than that, which was nice. It was quite suspenseful for such a short book. I thought maybe if you read lots of thrillers though, maybe you're able to guess the twist. I don't know, possibly, but I enjoyed this one. And also I read this just before bedtime, which might not have been the best decision on my part, because as I was trying to fall asleep, I kept thinking about it. Gladly I didn't have a scary dream as far as I remember, but yeah, maybe note to self, don't read like a thriller just before bedtime. And because it's so short, I finished it in one evening, so yeah. Anyway, that was quite a nice read. And then the last book that I wanted to talk about in this video is Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a young adult contemporary. I've had it on my shelf for a while, for several years in fact. Here is the synopsis. And so after reading 2 Dutch books, and the thing is I didn't bring lots of Dutch books with me to here. I brought more English books. So I didn't really have like lots of choice left in the Dutch books area, so I read an English book instead. This is a young adult contemporary, and I wanted the one in first person present tense because of my whole, I've read a lot of third person past tense in English lately with Ship of Magic, so I wanted something different. And also I really like young adult contemporary. That's one of my favorite genres, although it's a genre plus an age range, I know that, but it's one of my favorite things to read. I really like this one. This cast, I will say, this has some content warnings that you should be aware of. Now, given the synopsis, it makes sense, but so our main character is called Mara. I think that's how you would pronounce her name in English. In Dutch I would say Mara, but I presume in English it's Mara. And she has a twin brother called Owen, and she has a friend called Hannah. And basically Hannah accuses Owen of rape. So there you go, there's the content warning. And so the book you read from the point of view of Mara, who is so she's not sure whether to believe her twin brother or her friend. And she also has an ex-girlfriend named Charlie. So our main character is bisexual. So this has some LGBT representation. That is not the only representation. Our main character is bisexual. That is not the only LGBT representation in this book. And I really liked seeing the representations in here. I found the storyline also very interesting, and the characters. It was hard-hitting, I will say that, because of the subject matter, content warning. Yeah, there are some great discussions in this. It's definitely difficult to read at times for emotionally. My battery is empty. So I guess I will have to hurry this up. So yeah, I really like this. I read one other Ashley Herring Blake book before recently, and I really like that one. As well, link in description. Yeah, so I've had this on my shelves for a few years. I read it now. I really liked it. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!